Hi guys, so today we're going to continue on with the Creative Craft Products Scoreboard and Envelope Box Maker tutorials. This was sent over by Craft Stash a little bit ago, but free of charge. Of course, all opinions are my own, and any links in the description box will be affiliate links, which means I'll make a small commission if you purchase items to those links, so thanks for doing that, if you can. So in the previous video, and I'll link in the description box, I used this to make a regular envelope, to make, like a card base, to make a box envelope. So if you need an envelope that's thicker because you made a nice big thick card, you can do that with this really easily. I didn't notice though in that video is that the items are down here, so it's really easy to pull them out from down here instead of having to grab them up at top. And even the little this guy is right down here, so it's really nice at your fingertips there. So today we are going to use obviously that part. We will use this. You're not really needing to use the board or this guy to actually create a box. So today we're going to be making a box and a pinwheel or rosette, because I had mentioned I wanted to make a rosette. And again, that's just easy, just scoring it. But I have an idea of how to make that a little bit easier for you, possibly. We'll see when we get there. So basically this is what helps you make your envelopes and your box envelope or however. But really we just need the information that's on here. So of course you can make up your own numbers. The thing is with this system, they're doing it a little bit differently than like I normally would. I just make my box, score, 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 and then just fold them over. And on the other side is usually the measurements for like the box base or lid or however, depending on the company that you're using their scoreboard. With this one, everything's going to be measured on this side, but the second measurement is a little bit smaller for the lid, it says. And it's kind of counterintuitive just depending on what you're used to as far as scoreboards. So I'm not going to get too far into that. But let's just say the box base. You're going to score, let's say, I was going to make kind of like a cutie little box. Let's make this one because it's an interesting shape. I've never really made one that's like 3 inches square but 2 inches deep, right? So that's kind of interesting. I think that's what that means. You're going to need 11-inch pieces of paper. You're going to need 2 of those for the top and the bottom. And usually that's fine, whatever. And then we score them in different spots, but this one's saying for your base, you're going to score at 2 and 4. And on this one, which usually is just one line, and then we turn one, score line. This one's giving you 2 because what it's going to do is going to double over, which makes a nice thick wall. But I think that's also how they're accommodating for that. They only have 1/8 of an inch differences. Really, when you have a box and a box maker, the size for whatever portion of the lid or the other one, they're a 1/16 of an inch apart. And so for this one, it's a whole 1/8 of an inch, right? So what they're doing is they're doubling over the paper, and hopefully that makes it a little bit thicker, so it's just like feels more sturdy and it holds on better than being, basically at that point you're a 1/4 inch smaller, right? Which is a lot of space, right? For a lid and a box base, that's like this much extra. So I think that's what they're doing, and that's why they use that. I don't know. I'm just assuming, but we're gonna try it, right? Something different. So I did already grab some paper. So if we're doing the 3 by 3 by 2, we need 2 pieces that are 11 inches. So I'm just gonna cut these down to 11 inches. Super old paper that I have in my stash. And of course I need a 12-inch piece of paper to be able to do this because other paper is too short, right? The 8.5-inch side or whatever. So 11 inches, just bring it over here. And of course I'm doing my best. Your boxes, even though you're using like a scoring thing or you're doing whatever, it might still be a little bit off because you are doing this part on your own, right? You're gonna cut this and maybe you're a little bit here, a little bit there. It's fine, just do your best. 11-inch square, I'll do the same thing with this green one and I'll be ready enough. I'm gonna make rosettes and these would be good for rosettes, but I wanna show you a way to do it a little bit faster. So we're gonna put that to the side for now. This I just have here just for my reference, but okay, I want my lid to be this paper, so I'm gonna put this to the side for right now. And this is the base, and it's telling me for that 3 by 3 by 2 to score at 2 and 4. So super easy. So it's funny, you have the biggest pieces of paper, but we're gonna score in so much that you're gonna end up with this little tiny thing because you're basically taking 4 inches off all around. Oh my gosh, you guys, sorry about the rough edit. What I thought was gonna be quick, my neighbor's doing something with their gardening. Turned out they knocked down this big Mexican palm that was in front of their house. It's just huge, and then they pulled it. I don't even know. I should show you guys at the end if I remember. Actually, my phone's in my pocket. Let me grab that really quick because it's just an interesting image. So I just stopped working until they were done because it was just a little much. But okay, yes, that's my horrible grass because I live in California. It's not worth watering that. But I have my little plants here and some other palm trees, little thing. This is my neighbor's palm, and then this guy. You see how high he is? And that's not even just because of where I am. That's how tall it is. And the palm was probably up to here. And he just went up halfway and cut it, and then it was like timber, and it fell, shook my house, fell right in front of my neighbor's house. Thank goodness. I don't even know. They attached it to a rope into this guy's truck, so I guess as it was going to fall, he kind of went forward to pull it the right way, right? Is not to let it fall towards the house. My goodness. Oh my gosh. Totally startled me. But anyway, so back to this. What I was saying is, we have this 11-inch piece of paper. This box is going to be tiny. It's 3 by 3 by 2 inches deep. And then our first score lines, like I was saying, and, I don't know because I edited it as far as where I stopped. I don't know. I don't remember. I know I hadn't started, obviously, was the base at 2 and 4, and then the lid at 1 7/8 and 3 7/8. So we were going to start with the base because this is the one I want at the bottom, and then, of course, my pretty paper. A huge piece of paper to have a tiny little box because we're taking off a lot, right? If you're scoring this at 2... and then at 4, all around, you're going to end up with like this small little bit in the center, which is the 3 inches, right? So it's a lot. I will say that. So let's go 2 and 4. And I'm going to do this all around. And I'm going all the way to the bottom, of course. Ooh, don't turn it yet. See, I'm so used to doing the one score line and turning it. 2 and 4. 2 and 4, 2 and 4. Okay, so I'll be right back once I do the other two sides. Okay, so you have all those score lines, and you have that little square in the center. Really interesting. I'm not going to keep this packaging forever, but it is on here, and it's basically on here too. They're showing you score. Obviously, is the dark line, then cut is like the little dot line, which is kind of universal, those kind of things. They just want you to cut away this outer portion, right? And you still have to cut into this tab. So a little bit different than we usually do. So, it looks like such a big piece of paper. So we have this, you're going to cut away this guy, and of course this is because of the size I chose. You can make boxes that are much, take more advantage of the paper you have, right? Right now we're going to cut that away, and I'm going to do that for the same on all these edges here. So from here to here, sorry, my son just got home and his water bottle was making a little noise. Okay, so this outer one too, and I'm going to do the same thing on all of them, just cut here, take off this outer set, and cut here and take off this outer set. Okay, I'll be right back. It's like this. And I know this is really kind of odd, but and also the size I chose is kind of weird. So you're looking at it looking like this, and then you're going to cut into here. So these tabs and up here, and I'm doing just the way they're doing. So straight from that score line up to here. Okay, and you're going to leave this big thing, and that's up to you, I think. I think that's kind of excessive if you want to leave both these tabs. And then there's other ways to cut this. If you prefer to do a different way, then just do a different way. Or again, for this measurement, for the not having the 16ths on this, you kind of need to do it this way so it's nice and chubby. But basically that's it. Okay, that's where I've scored it. We're going to score all these different things. So just like any other box, we're going to score basically all these in. And then this guy's going to fold down. Right? This guy's going to also fold down. And it's going to encase this. That's what I'm saying. So, honestly, if I brought this over, I mean, look how much overlap there is. So, for me, for this size box, I would cut this off at least. I know, it seems a little... It just seems like too much. So, I'm going to take these guys off. Of course, they're showing something different. Do whatever you like. And we might even divot it a little bit. For right now, I'm just going to cut it because this is the first time I've done it in this manner. So basically all of these, everything scores in or up however you want to create your box. I haven't even used the scoring tool, I'm just folding with my hands. Everything folds in. Okay, so now I'm going to turn it over. And what happens is, let's say you're going to tuck this in and it makes a nice top. And then this guy and this guy come in. And then this guy's going to fold over those, okay? So that's kind of why I'm like, I don't know if I want to keep them very straight, if I want to divot it in just a little bit on all these little guys. I'm going to show you again in just a second what that looks like. So when you make your box, you can kind of look at it and say, oh, that's right. Okay, and this is actually a good technique for anybody who only has the scoreboard but doesn't have the other side of it where it makes a box and a lid if you only have the 8ths scoring. Okay, that one needs to come in just a little bit. And let's take a quick look at this guy. Again, I didn't know where I wanted to divot this. Next time I cut it, I'll cut this initially. Actually, we'll do it on the second one. I'm going to divot these last two and I'll be right back. Before I get to gluing, I said I would show you guys what this looks like. So again, 2 side tabs, you know, the sides, should I say, not tabs. And then these little guys. Now in the instructions, they left it there. I don't know why. I guess you could fold them over and then still tuck them in. That's a lot of paper, I think. So I just want to show you. And this one is just the 2 sides. They don't have anything else attached to them because that's from here. Okay, so really interesting. I mean, it's different. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and glue this and this down. Right? Let's glue these guys in. And again, I didn't really like score it with my bone folder or anything, but I'm going to hold these down. Some sturdiness there. And I like to use wet glues, so that's why I use that. And then on this, I'm going to put a little glue here. And I'm trying to think, do I just want to do one thing at a time like these guys? Probably. This is very interesting, you guys. Because it's going to be super sturdy with all that extra. And if I'm already here, I might as well hold this down too. So I'm going to put glue pretty much to the very edges of that. And tuck that in. So it'll all get held at the same time instead of holding the tabs and then holding the box. You guys, this is interesting. Okay, and I'm just going to hold that down. Okay, and then on this side, same thing. I'm going to put glue. I probably don't even have to put the glue on this outer piece, but I prefer to. So bring those tabs in. Oh, I didn't fold this one. Naughty, naughty. Okay, let's get that one folded. Throw it up. And then we're going to do the same thing with the other part, which is our lid. The reason the lid has the smaller numbers, meaning that when you score it a little bit smaller, right, we were doing 2 and 4, and if we do 1 7/8, you're making that actually bigger, right? What's going to fit on here. So that's why it works as a lid, because the actual dimension of this part is going to be a 7th. Sorry, I was trying to help you guys make sense of that. So the base of it is going to be 1/8 of an inch bigger here, 1/8 of an inch bigger here, and this side, right? Because you're taking the 1/8 there. Okay, look at that. Super sturdy. Now that I know these side pieces will show, I'll put a little extra glue next time. Oh, so cute. And you know what? Just because of the way you cleaned it up and did just the 2 sides exactly the same instead of kind of like the way I usually do it, it's kind of a pinwheel. It makes it really nice and neat. Okay, so having done that, let's get this guy. And I am going to face it down. I keep forgetting to do that. I'm like, I leave it facing up. It doesn't matter. If you like to score on the side with the pretty, you know, pattern, that's fine. Just move my stool here. So again, we are going with the 3x3 by 2, and we scored at 2 and 4. So with our lid, 1 7/8 and 3 7/8. So 1 7/8, right before 2. It's the 8th mark right before the 2. It's not marked like is depicted, but it doesn't have a number there. So 1 7/8 and 3 7/8 is what I said, right? Yeah. Again, just an 1/8 of an inch smaller than the 2 and the 4. Okay, 1 7/8, 3 7/8. Same thing all around. 1 7/8 and 3 7/8. Okay, so I'll do that on all 4 sides. Okay, so I have all my score lines. And this time you can cut on this side, you can cut on the other side. I kind of like just doing all my scoring and cutting on the opposite side of the prettiness, but again, we're going to cut away our little pieces, so definitely taking away this whole chunk, right? But since we did it a little bit different, it might be better to do it systematically the same, but basically we want to get rid of this one too, if you recall, right? And then we're going to divot these guys. So we can come back and do that, I suppose. On this side, I'm going to do the same. So I'm taking out these outside 2 squares, and all around I'm going to remove these outer 2 squares, this here and this here. And while I was paused, I already did this side the way we wanted. It's basically exactly the same as before, so now we have this here. So when we come in, we are going to cut all the way down, right? And we did that earlier, and we left those long notches, but I decided we don't need those. So I'm just going to go down here, and interestingly enough, we still have to kind of obviously cut this away. I'm just making it so exactly the same as this other side. And then we still have to divot it out. So it's not like, because earlier I cut it this way or whatever, you still have to kind of come in here and do this separately. So it's basically the same. And then on this side, cut a little bit out. And I'm going to do the exact same thing we did before. So I'm going to go ahead, this time folding everything up this way because of the pattern paper. And if you want to score it, you know, you can definitely score. So this guy all in here. Okay, so I'll go around and score everything toward me, but again, it could just be like this, like we did earlier, right, with the nice side facing. But just score everything in, and I'll be right back. And just like we did before, again, there's our shape. Put a little glue here. Oopsie. I'll hold this one down. Oh, you know what? This flap is just a little bit shorter. Oh, that's interesting. Because of the score lines, it's just, yeah, okay, cool. That's very smart. Okay, I'm gonna put the paper here, this here. So it ends up still being 2 inches, even though we did a 7/8, 1 7/8, and 2, because between the 1 7/8 and the 3 7/8, that's 2 inches. So you didn't lose anything there, right? In the size of the side of the box. Very smart. Okay, and then same thing. A little glue there, put my tabs, and then tuck that in, right, with the glue, just like we did on the base. And I'll be back. Here's our lid, and it's still wet. I mean, I've just finished up, but let's see what happens. So we have this, again, it's a big number kind of that's separating these things, but let's see how it fits. Aww, a little bit, again, a little bit big because we're using those numbers, but doubling it up helps make it feel a little firm, but it is kind of loose. So just keep that in mind. Super cute. Aww. Alright. Let's try a pinwheel or a rosette, and I'll be right back. Okay, usually for rosettes, I like a 12-inch piece of paper because that's a long strip, and when you go to roll it up, you can make 2 separate projects real easy. I'm just going to use, just to give you the example of what I'm thinking, a standard A2 size piece of paper that's already 8.5. I'm going to cut this at 2 inches. So, what the 2 inches is going to do is, generally, when you make a rosette, it depends on what size you want. They're usually 1-inch strips, 1.5-inch strips. I'm going to do 2 inches. Make a sweet little rosette. And we're going to cut it again in just a minute. But instead of making 2 pieces that are 1 inches and you're doing all your score lines and you're going to do them again, I'd rather just come in and do it one time and then we'll cut that in half. That's it. So I think that saves you a little time. So, and it also depends. Do you like for me, I kind of want to start from out here. So every 1/4 inch, I'm going to make a mark. And that's all I'm doing, every 1/4 inch. And the 1/4 inches are marked, right? So everywhere you see a number, use that. So I'm going to go across the whole board and just give a nice, even score at every 1/4 inch. Okay, and I will be right back. Here's my last score because I already did the 1/4 inch at first. And I just like going this way, but whatever you like. So there they are. And you would think, oh, well, to save more time, maybe right now I should go ahead and just start scoring it. Yes and no, because let's say it starts getting a little wonky. You put it in your cutter, and when you go to cut, it's going to want to do its own thing because the strip is much thinner than, and it's all scored and crinkled up. So for me, I'd rather just cut it now at the 1 inch. But you save time doing all the scores, you know. And so what I'm going to do is just put it in here. And, I mean, you can do 3 inches, 4 inches, and cut them, but I think the longer you get, the little more tiring it is. This one is just kind of like, because it's just the 2 inches that you're clearing, and it makes it more fun and quick. Oopsie. All right, that made a nice noise. Now I'm just going to take this and score it on each one of those 1/4 inches. So here and here and here, and I'll crinkle them all up just like that. So I'm just going to follow along. If you want to, you know, use a bone folder every once in a while, you can definitely do that. I just like to kind of crunch them up. And I'll do the same thing for the second one too, okay? So I'll be right back. Okay guys, I'm just at the end of this one here. And I mean, you don't have to hold them together. I was kind of holding it like a big bunch, but you can just let it go and keep going. So a couple things. We are going to stick these little guys together. Now you can stick these together, and I didn't so that they're up and down, so I'm going to overlap one. And yes, if you do one a certain way and start the other way, you can overlap. You don't have to overlap, right? You don't have to waste that little bit. And you can push it down. But since I use the short paper, I'd rather just stick these two together and then make it one big guy, okay? So again, 12-inch paper is better. I just grabbed small paper, so I'm going to stick these two together for now. And I have my heat gun going. So generally, if you use a 12-inch piece of paper, this could be 2 rosettes. But again, I use shorter paper, so I'm just going to stick them together. And I might even cut them down. But essentially, you could have had 2 rosettes, right? Sorry about the shadow. It's just later in the day now, and it's weird. And then I also want to cut with a circle punch. I'm just going to cut a little circle, probably out of this scrap that's left here, so that we can stick our rosette down on. Just trying to see if this is too much. You can see, up and down, you don't have to overlap anything, it's good to go. But it might be a little bit too much for this one, so what I'm going to do is just cut a little bit off. Oh, you know what? Let's make sure when we cut it off, it's the kind, like maybe this much. And if I want less than that, I'll even cut off a little more. Let's see. That'll probably be okay. So I'm going to glue these two together and wait for my glue gun to be ready. I'm going to punch a little circle, and I'll be right back. Okay, guys, you know what? I didn't check to see if this is ready. Let's see. Oh, yep. Ready as it'll ever be, I suppose. You know, I'm going to put a scrap paper here. I'm going to put this here. And what we're going to do with this guy, you have the little circle, is you're going to fashion it down this way. Sometimes it can take a little more work than others. And you're going to get it as close as you can right here, right? So, people have different tricks for this. I'm just going to pop this on here. Get my hot glue ready and put a whole lot of it. And then just bring this guy around. Get it as close as I can to that hot glue. Again, she wants to fight you because I'm using really good cardstock here. Oopsie. A little patience, and I might have to put a little more glue, but just trying to get it together and as round as you can. I'm going to spread this out just a little bit because I know I have more ruffles in one spot than I want in others. I'm just going to hold that down for a minute till that glue sets up, and then I'm just going to pop this little green guy on top to match our box, why not? And I'll be right back. I literally held it just for like about 10 seconds because I'm just going to move on, and I'm still holding it because it feels like it wants to pop up just a little bit. And let's get some hot glue on there, and let's get our little circle that we punched. Oh my gosh, so bright and juicy. Okay, I'm going to hold that down, and I'll be right back. Okay guys, there's our little rosette. I mean, how cute is that? Again, you can make longer ones, you know, already with the 12-inch paper, and you would make 2 at the same time. I stuck those 2 together to make one that's a little bit longer because I use 8-inch paper. This guy, again, it's a little loose. Honestly, I would have to like put like a bow or like a ribbon or something because of the loose nature of that. Because like I said, if you're taking off 1/8 of an inch at a time, that's going to be a whole 1/4 inch, right? Instead of 2/16 as 1/8 of an inch. But as you can see, there's quite a bit of a gap there. Brought in by doubling it up, but anyhow. Should we just stick that on? Just to be cute? Sure. I'm just going to stick it down since I have this guy on. I'll just stick that down. And we'll have this cute little guy. And generally with the rosettes, you know, you can put little something cute on top of this, some little die-cut ephemera or just ephemera piece or whatever it is that you might want to put. But that's just how you hold it together. And there it is. So some basic stuff you can try out on your scoreboards. Alright guys, thanks for watching. I'll have the links in the description box. I'll have some images coming up, and I'll see you guys at the next one. Bye now.